the truth.
There are no coincidences, only the illusion of coincidence.
This episode discusses allegations and theories presented in the documentary Cold Case Hammarskjöld. Some claims are speculative and remain disputed. The views expressed belong to the hosts and guests only and do not represent that one random podcast or its affiliates. We do not promote hate, harassment, or violence toward any person or group. Please do your own research, verify with credible sources, and remember, this content is for informational and discussion purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to that one random podcast. I'm Cypher.
I'm Treble.
All right, let's get into it. All right. Question. What do you know about HIV and AIDS?
Oh, sensitive topic. What do I know? Maybe enough, but maybe not enough. I came across them. Have you seen the movie Dallas Buyers Club?
Yeah.
So that kind of also shaped my perception on HIV. I don't believe what the mainstream says. I don't know what to believe these days. I hope you got some information for me.
So basically what we're going to talk about today, right? And I've had I suppose it's my own conspiracy theory, as well. We're going to review a documentary, some clips from a documentary called Cold Case Hammarskjöld. I hope I pronounced that right. And basically there's this journalist and he's called Mads Brugger. He's a Danish journalist, author, filmmaker and TV host, known for his unorthodox and comedic approach to exposing corruption and human rights violations, right? He's a three-time Sundance Film Festival nominee and a Grand Jury Award winner for his 2009 documentary, The Red Chapel, where he posed as a communist theatre director to gain access to North Korea.
Interesting.
All right, so interesting cat.
Okay.
Yeah, when you see clips of him, you're going to think this guy's actually quite... It's like dark humor.
Okay.
Right? But you...
So he's going to do dark humor?
I liked him straight away, yeah.
On HIV?
No, but I liked it straight. It's just the way his behavior is. Not dark humor, but it's just his body language behavior. I thought, I don't know, something about this guy I like. I don't know why. Yeah, but I did, yeah. All right. So basically, I've always had this theory about HIV, right? And it stems from, especially when I watched the movie Philadelphia with Tom Hanks. Have you ever watched that? Nah. All right. Great film. There's no conspiracy in there or anything. It's just about a lawyer who's
There's always a conspiracy, man.
Who's gay. He has HIV, which is now turned into AIDS. His employers, he's about to be a partner in a prestigious law firm and they sack him and yada, 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 right? And you can imagine how it all plans out. Denzel Washington's in it and everything. It's pretty good, really good film. But I remember saying, wow, man, so this just popped up in New York City and only within mainly among the gay community. But then I was like, well, how did it end up in Africa? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So obviously I did ask ChatGPT a bit of question. Like, when was the first reported case of HIV? And he said, in New York, among the gay population. However, apparently it's always been around. And in Africa, but not as viral as it is now. Okay? And it never had a name. I was like, when do you have a disease running around in Africa and not give it a name? I just thought these things now definitely aren't connecting up to me, yeah? Mm. But back then when I was a kid, when I was probably about 15, 16, I just thought, I wonder, is HIV a bioengineered weapon?
That's what I've heard.
Which they tested on the gay community in New York and saw that it worked. And then decided, hey, let's launch it in proper full on in Africa.
I mean, also the projects in the Section 80s of the ghettos, they also put it there. Yeah.
So,
but then I also saw something that said maybe HIV isn't even real. That's a wild one, isn't it? But someone even said that the disease itself isn't real.
No.
But as a bioweapon, that makes more sense than. And they said what? It came from monkeys, in it? Somebody butt fucked a monkey.
That's why. Something like that. Like, it was really weird. Like, it spawns from monkeys or something like that, or it always spawns from a monkey or a freaking bat or a pig, right? We know that from recent times, without going too deep into that. But I've always had this inkling deep down that there's some wild conspiracy here. Yeah. And watching this documentary, I can't verify anything that he says in it or whoever he's interviewing and talking to or who they are. But I just thought it was an interesting documentary and I thought it's one worth talking about, man. And it starts with, he calls it Cold Case Hammarskjöld because the investigation is initially about, when I watched it, was initially about finding out what happened to this UN Secretary General whose plane crashed not long ago, back then. And he's trying to look into why did that happen? He felt there was some conspiracy
Always
behind
though,
it.
isn't it?
And there was the reason behind that conspiracy, or him thinking there's a conspiracy behind it, is because that UN Secretary General, basically, when he got into the position, said that it's time to give Africa back to the Africans for real. So meaning giving it its wealth back to it, its resources back to it, helping them to understand how to manage it, how to govern it, all that sort. Basically turn Africa, the continent, into a superpower.
What year was this?
Jeez, well, now you've got to ask me that question.
No, because I was literally just watching today a video.
The documentary is from 2009.
No, but the whole Making Africa...
I think it was back like 50s, 60s, something like that.
Because have you seen Africa Today? Like, it's not what I thought it was. I was watching this video literally today about like the mega mansions, the super luxurious mansions in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. They've got literally so many gated communities with multi-million-dollar mansions. And it's crazy. And then like
and then you got proper slums.
And you got proper slums too. But hey, I've seen crackheads taking a shit outside Brixton High Street.
Yeah.
You know, the UK is no better in terms of. We also have slums and ghettos.
Yeah,
I mean,
people take a crap in the bush.
Literally, so
my house now.
Yeah, there's extremes, but there's also some extreme wealth in Africa as well, and even in South Africa, it literally looks something straight out of Monaco. They've got these mega mansions, bigger than stuff that they've got here in the UK, and that's in Africa. So I was just wondering, like, when did Africa get this insurgence of wealth? And maybe it's linked in with what we're talking about right now.
I think it's individual wealth where people have capitalized off, I suppose, cheap labor in the country as well. Because remember, that cheap labor isn't just used for the West; it's used by the people in there who know how to exploit it, and then sell that cheap labor to the West for a profit, right? Which the West will make even more profit on top of the profit that the person. Do you know what I mean? In that country is making right now. So is he as rich as the billionaire from the West? Probably not.
Probably not.
But is he rich enough to live a rich life in that part of Africa, wherever he's from?
Whoa.
But he can.
Like a king, bruv.
Yeah.
But then, like, what are we sending foreign aid for then?
I'm going to get deep into that, man.
All right.
Yeah, that's a difficult topic altogether. We're going to talk about something else. We're going to get off track, otherwise.
We talk about fucking monkeys. All right.
We already discussed that. And you want to answer that question? That's in the last episode about immigration.
True.
But I'm not going to go into it, right? But yeah, that's basically who this guy was. So I'm going to play the first clip, right, which kind of starts off the investigation, which is about this UN Secretary General. And then bit by bit, as you go along, he starts digging into, which leads him down the HIV conspiracy, I should say.
CIA and all that.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah, right. Okay, but let's play the first clip for it, and then we'll discuss it.
And much has been lost in the passage of time. But the questions remain. Was Dag Hammarskjöld murdered? And if so, who killed him? Did you know about Hammarskjöld?
No, I didn't know.
Dag Hammarskjöld became the UN Secretary General in 1953. At first, he was believed to be a boring Swedish technocrat, but in fact, he was a flaming and strong-willed idealist.
It is very easy to bow to the wish of a big power. It is another matter to resist.
For Hammarskjöld, one of the most important tasks of the UN was to protect the African countries who had recently gained independence from the tactics of old colonial powers.
These new nations wish to build a life of progress in full independence. To look to the United Nations for moral, political and economic support.
This made him a lot of enemies amongst the old colonial powers. So, if there was a time where members of the UN were longing for the death of the Secretary General, it was during the reign of Dag Hammarskjöld.
Whatever happens, stick to your guns, so that you can feel satisfaction with what you've done, whatever the outcome.
His plane crashed in the outskirts of a small mining town called Ndola, right on the border between the Congo and the British Protectorate of Rhodesia. It was the perfect kill room, isolated and far away from prying eyes and ears. Hammarskjöld was on his way to Ndola for peace talks with Moise Tshombe, the rebel leader of the breakaway region Katanga. People need to know about Katanga. How Katanga in 1960 succeeded from Congo, declared independence, and a war broke out. And it's important people understand that Katanga was basically the property of a giant Belgian corporation called Union Minière, a mining corporation, and it was more or less Union Minière who installed Moise Tshombe as the leader of Katanga.
Yes.
As a figurehead, because right below him, the big mining corporations were running the show. And they brought in a lot of mercenaries.
In a perspective which may well be short rather than long, the problem facing the Congo is one of peace or war.
Okay, so that's just giving a little intro who he was and what he stood for, right? And he basically, in short, was trying to give African nations that had achieved independence, or what we think was independence, he wanted to make sure it stayed that way, and they didn't remain in the grip of the colonial powers. In short, yeah, so they couldn't milk them for their resource, cheap labor, and all the stuff that we still see today.
Yep.
You didn't want that. Yeah, he wanted the African continent to be strong, wealthy, independent, and they're running their own economies and they're flourishing, which is the opposite of what we see now. But then suddenly, his plane goes down. Yeah.
That's suspicious. Convenient, isn't it?
Conveniently, his plane goes down now. Yeah, and this next clip is going to open up his investigation now into the plane going down. Cool.
Okay.
They were the witnesses who were as close to the event as possible.
We could see the plane going to the airport to land, but suddenly, I don't know what happened, the lights went off at the airport.
They talk about another plane in the air which is shooting at Doug Hammarskjöld's plane.
You said you heard a sound.
Yes, another sound.
Another sound.
Yes, that sound was like a jet.
Yeah. I told my boss, Mr. Jimmy James, he was my boss at that time. He was a Briton, and I said something happened. What happened? There were no lights. The lights were switched off at the airport, and he just told me.
There was a bright red flash.
Over there?
Over there, yes. People in Ndola saw it.
Yeah.
Many people saw it.
What about Martin, who was here manning the tower?
Yeah, the radio controller, Martin, he claims he didn't see it, which is strange because normally he should have been sitting inside the tower looking in that direction. He said he didn't see it. And that's not the only strange thing. Martin, of course, he took notes. A controller has to take notes of the conversation with the pilots. He took notes, but for some reason, he destroyed his notes the next day. So 2 days after the crash, he had to rewrite his notes.
Jørgen goes to London. In the Travelers Club, he meets with a former NSA officer, a man named Charles Southall.
Now it has started.
Hello, I'm Charles Southall.
NSA is an American intelligence organization.
I was a naval officer.
They are basically spying on the whole world.
I was home with my young family and received a telephone call saying, you really should come out to the station around midnight because something interesting is going to happen. And shortly after midnight, a recording came through from somewhere down in Africa. I don't remember where it came from, and I probably didn't even know at the time. But one of the watch supervisors commented that this is history, and it's only 7 minutes old. And it was a recording of a man that we were aware of, a Belgian mercenary pilot, who we called the Lone Ranger. He apparently was was up in a fuga magister. He said, I see a transport coming in low. I'm going down to take a look at it. And he said, I'm going to make a run on it. And then you could hear, this is really chilling, you could hear the gun cannon firing, rat-tat-tat. And he said, I've hit it. There are flames coming out of it. And quite quickly he said, it's crashed. And that was the end of the recording. And we processed this recording and sent it off to Washington. And we all went home then. At the time we heard this recording, I did not know this was the aircraft that was transporting Dag Hammarskjöld and his staff and his personal security people.
There were never taken any so-called in situ pictures of Dag Hammarskjöld's body, pictures of the body as it looked like when it was found at the crash site. The first pictures were taken after he had been moved onto a stretcher. And here, in the shirt collar of Dag Hammarskjöld, a playing card can be seen. And by the way, this playing card is not mentioned in the autopsy report. But you may ask, what kind of playing card was it? The first civilian photographer admitted to the crash site, a man named Norman Kenward, claims to know the answer.
Yes, I was the local photographer, and in the early afternoon, I say early afternoon, I received a telephone call asking me if I had heard anything about the Dag Hammarskjöld plane crashing.
Who was it calling you?
A police officer. Yes. He said to me, my advice to you is have your cameras ready. And with that, I immediately jumped in the car with no other assistance with me, and I raced towards Ndola.
How many days did it take to find his bodies?
It took 15 hours.
15 hours.
Yes. But it crashed 8 miles from the airport. And there was a big fire, you know.
I went there with my friend, but still there was a very big fire in the morning.
Yeah.
So it must have been easy to see.
As I arrived at the crash site, I parked my car and got the equipment I needed, my camera, Rolleiflex camera. As I walked along the track, to the left of me was a pile of bodies. Right? I casually said to one of the persons there, I said, oh, you know, what's going on? Oh, he said, we're putting Hammarskjöld into the ambulance.
You know, it's complicated because when they found his body at the crash site...
It's really a mystery story.
No, but when they found his body at the crash site...
Yeah.
All the other passengers, most of them, they were totally burned.
Okay.
And in bits and pieces all over the place.
Yeah.
But Hammarskjöld, he was just lying on the ground,
floor, yeah.
you know, like this.
Yes.
Remarkably undamaged.
Okay, he was lying like that.
Yes.
And then comes the most important detail. So a few days later you meet the exact same police officer in the
Correct.
streets. And you have a conversation which you choose to keep secret for a great many years.
Yes. And he said, oh, by the way, he said, did you hear about Hammarskjöld? I said, well, I believe he was dead or died or whatever. He said, oh, he said, did you see him up close? I said, no, I did not. He said, well, between you and me, rumour, and I say rumour has it, he had the death card in his collar. So I said, the death card, that's the ace of spades. He said, yes. I said, my goodness, you know, what a coincidence sort of thing, you know. By the way, he said, please, Norman, don't mention that to anyone. He said, after all, it's not released officially to anyone.
Can you read that sentence to me?
Yeah. In September 2013, the story moved beyond the role of conspiracy theory for the senior citizens.
Yes, because it's only old people who remember Dag Hammarskjöld.
Okay.
No, what happened is they have a press conference in the Peace Palace where a commission of jurists who have been investigating the case presents their conclusions.
The Commission will present the report on its inquiry into the cause of death of the former Secretary General of the United Nations, Dag Hammarskjöld, in 1961.
The purpose of the report is to evaluate the new body of evidence uncovered about the death of Dag Hammarskjöld, not least thanks to the work of Jørgen Bjørkdal.
I may say, Mr. Bjørkdal, that we've been very much assisted by the research that you've made available to us.
The Commission had asked the US National Security Agency, the NSA, if they had any records in their archives matching the description of intercepted radio traffic given by former NSA officer Charles Southall.
The archive's response, as we record in section 15.12, has been that of 3 documents or records which appear to respond to our request, 2 are classified top secret on national security grounds.
This means, yes, we have the records you're looking for, but you cannot have them. But even more interesting is the question of whether a bomb had been planted in Dag Hammarskjöld's plane. When the UN did their first investigation of the crash back in 1962, it was discovered that Dag Hammarskjöld's plane, the Albertina, had been left completely unguarded at the airport for at least 2 hours before takeoff, which would make it possible for a determined person to plant a bomb inside the plane. But, as the investigators wrote at the time, this is no more than a theory, not even supported by circumstantial evidence.
What nevertheless lends apparent substance to the bomb theory is the batch of documents purportedly originating from a body called the South African Institute for Marine Research. Maritime Research? Maritime Research.
So now we are going to South Africa.
Are you going to talk about the Madiba story?
About what?
What happened there?
About apartheid?
Yes.
Yes. Because, you know, in 1998, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, they are closing down. In August 1998, having spent more than 4 years investigating the crimes of the apartheid regime, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was closing down. To mark the end of their work, they held a final press conference in Cape Town, chaired by Archbishop Desmond Tutu.
It is a very special moment for all of us. We have discovered in the course of our investigations documents purporting to be from an institution called the South African Institute of Maritime Research, discussing the sabotage of the aircraft in which the United Nations Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld died on the night of September 1961.
Has everybody got a copy of this set of documents? Institute for Maritime Research. How many are missing? Sorry, just give me
The documents comes from, allegedly from a shadowy private paramilitary intelligence organization known as the South African Maritime Research Institute. And they are the manuscript for killing Dag Hammarskjöld. The full set of documents discovered in the vaults of South Africa's Secret Service was said to consist of 12 pages, but the originals have since vanished in South African state archives. What remains are blurred photocopies of 9 pages, outlining a plot to kill Dag Hammarskjöld with a bomb. The documents say that Hammarskjöld had to be removed because the United Nations had become troublesome. Among the conspirators, British intelligence is mentioned, as well as the American intelligence service, the CIA.
Do you know whether the institute still exists?
Yes, in fact, when we got this document, which was about a few months ago, the first thing that we did was to send an investigator to establish whether, in fact, there is an institute of this nature. We are of the view that there is an institute, though in a different form or a slightly different form.
But none of the journalists went to look for the institute themselves. Maybe because the British Foreign Office, as well as the CIA, quickly scrambled to bury the story as a piece of Cold War misinformation planted by the Russians. As a result, the South African Institute for Maritime Research, or in short CIMAR, remains mostly uncharted territory.
It is not impossible that the account carried by these documents is genuine, but it is just as possible that they are a well-informed fabrication.
Know about CIMAR today is thanks to the South African journalist David Potgieter. Back in the early 90s, he met with a man who claimed to be the Commodore of CIMAR, a man named Keith Maxwell.
He described himself as commander of the CIMAR's military unit, Delta. And what he told me, he said that the unit is the successor of an 184-year-old organization first formed by a group of British mariners. Preferring to remain anonymous, the group's interests are diverse. Some orders come from London and others are initiated here in South Africa.
David Potgieter takes the only photo known to me of Maxwell. This is him. The leader of CIMAR, the Commodore. You see how he's dressed in white?
White, yes.
I think because CIMAR was a maritime organization, so they claim to be. But Maxwell was also posing as a doctor.
And in some quarters he referred to himself as Dr. Maxwell Annandale, but he was not a medical doctor or any doctor of any sort. And from what I've gathered, what I've seen in the surgery, there were black women lying on beds with funny machines making beep sounds, and he was experimenting on black people.
Maxwell is dead now.
Yeah.
Very disturbing things about Maxwell.
Okay.
How he liked to manipulate other people, play with their minds. How abusive and evil he was.
Yeah. How evil he was.
Well, you know what he did?
No.
He was running a number of clinics in the black townships.
Yes.
Pretending to be a medical doctor.
He's Maxwell Annandale.
But Potgieter discovers that Maxwell had more than one surgery. We discovered that he was running a number of clinics in the townships around Johannesburg, offering medical assistance to black people at a very low cost. And at that point in time, Jørgen and I, we had difficulties finding out what these clinics were about. Why was he running these clinics? And people we talked to tells us about how he was experimenting on black people.
The clients who came here, did they seem to be satisfied with the treatment that they got?
No.
They were not?
It was more of a chance, because I used to sit with him and see what they do,
Quack.
They did quack, more quack, They make his money out of this. And you have a drum there and put them in the drum and roll them and then, give them just false injections,
But, you have injections to them also?
Yeah, there's some mystery about him, I see his own little things,
But apparently he was very quiet and
very, very quiet. But a sharpshooter.
Sharpshooter, isn't it?
Cool. So in short, that clip is really showing you, one, how did Dag Hammarskjöld, hopefully I'm saying that right, how did this plane go down? What happened in the investigation?
Yeah, suspicious.
All right, suspicious, right? That everyone on the plane was pretty much burnt alive and unrecognizable, apart from his body, which was lying perfectly straight.
Probably planted there. Maybe they dropped the plane.
Maybe they already did take him out.
Take him out and then put his body
And
there
then put
after.
his body there.
Because what's up with the black ace?
The Ace
card.
of Spades.
The Ace of Spades,
I think that's a sign of an assassin.
Shit.
Of like a mercenary assassin. So they showed obviously the...
That rumor has it was an Ace of Spades in his collar. Like, what?
Like, just happened to be there. Like, what? Like...
Subliminal, innit?
Yeah. So that is weird. But then also how they've... Obviously, there was a committee that was looking into it, that did look into it and said that, yes, we do have records of the NSA call or recording of what they were told, but we're not allowed to show you that information. That's what was it, national security.
Yeah, it's classified.
We classified. We can't declassify that, unfortunately, but we do have it. Essentially, is what they were saying.
He was the UN chief.
Yeah, and then it's funny they're saying that also that they had to take him out of power because the UN were becoming a problem. Meaning he was becoming really a problem because now he was in charge of the UN.
Ultimately.
And that, obviously, if South Africa officials if that's what he's claiming, that South Africa was saying that, there was obviously a reason behind that because he wanted to give Africa back to the Africans, which means at that time when apartheid existed and it would have been rife, right? Imagine telling South Africa, no, you need to give it back to the Africans who, right? So...
And it just, I mean, I can see why he ruffled the feathers of the powers that be. Taking out high-level leaders isn't something new. Like we see that all the time, assassination attempts. So he kind of fits that category. The fact that it went, like most people don't know about it. Like I never knew about this guy.
Neither did I. You ever heard of him in the history books?
No,
heard about it?
But the chief general of the UN.
But we wouldn't have known it because the
no
British.
Joke.
He even said that the South African government went on it. Were
British intelligence,
British intelligence were in it.
American intelligence,
CIA were in it. So naturally, we're not going to hear about it.
Should we even be talking about this, bro?
Don't know.
The fuck, man. Start seeing lights following you around that night. God damn.
But it's just weird, right? How he died and why he died and what he was trying to do, and then conveniently a few years later.
That's conspiracy, man.
Like it is conspiracy.
Yeah,
I feel
conspiracy. There's people colluding to.
There. There, clearly.
Obviously, yeah.
I mean, how many people probably even know about this documentary? You can actually order this on Prime, by the way, guys. It's on Amazon Prime. You can order it or even buy it, or you can go to Rumble, watch it for free.
Everything's out there. The information's out there. It's just being flooded with so much distraction and bullshit and Love Island and all this nonsense that nobody...
It's even like the political...
Oh yeah, even the political
stuff that's going on with each country.
Yeah.
Like even here, immigration, Australia, I showed some clips today. All the noise that we're hearing, all this stuff,
just noise,
it's just to distract you from like, we don't ever want you to find these things.
Nah.
That's why now, you know what I do now? I download everything. Yeah, if there's a documentary I saw and I really liked it and I thought, wow, no one's talking about this, I download it. Yeah, because I've got a copy of it.
Yeah.
Because
for now,
I reckon at some point
it's going to take it away.
They're going to take it all off.
Yeah.
And that's why I always think like
censorship is real.
But like going back to this.
Yeah.
So clearly he was a threat to definitely South Africa and obviously other colonial powers who on paper, I guess, had given their independence back to African nations, but were very much in the mindset of we're going to keep hold of the resource. Obviously, which has happened. We know that. We see it every day. But then it leads into Keith Maxwell and this maritime research organization in South Africa. And what they're talking about there is him posing as a doctor when he wasn't a doctor, but conducting experiments under the guy in these townships, black townships, under the guise of we're going to give you medication, we're here to help you. But all the people that he treated, and that's what the guy was saying there at the end, who they were speaking to, the Indian chap, was pretty much, were people happy with the treatment they got? No. Well, obviously they weren't happy with it because it was experimental and it was going to cause you some sort of form of harm, I'm guessing. Yeah? You were guinea pigs for something, right? They don't actually say at that point what they were guinea pigs for, but we're going to get into that in a bit. But that is basically what that clip was, you know. And yeah, it was a long one. And every time I wanted to cut it off, I was like, no, I need to get this bit in there as well. So you'll see bits, you might not notice it if my editing is good enough, where I actually cut off and it goes into another.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, and it is. That's like, that whole bit there was a lot longer than that. And I took the best 18 minutes I could out of it without taking too much out of it to paint the picture. But essentially, yeah. So now we're going to get, we've understood what's happened to Dag Hammarskjöld, UN Secretary General. We're now being introduced into Keith Maxwell, and this is where the story starts getting more interesting as we go along. So the next clip is literally about Keith Maxwell, right? It's a 3-minute clip. It's not too long, this one.
Yep.
And it's basically Keith Maxwell, the story of my life.
All right.
Yeah, so it's going to give a quick breakdown, I suppose, of what or who Keith Maxwell is. And when I say who, it's probably going to give you an idea of how he started off and whatever he was doing. I don't know whether it's going to give you too much info about his whole life, but guys like these are pretty secretive cats, and getting information on it isn't the most easy thing.
Is he linked to like Ghislaine Maxwell?
Not that I know of, but I remember I cut these a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I cut this. This is one that was long overdue that we're supposed to be doing. Yeah, we should have done this months ago.
Yeah, true.
All right, but so I don't know whether they mention them, the Maxwells, but as far as I'm aware, no. Yeah, but this is more about really him and what he did with these clinics, with these experiments.
Sounds fucked up.
Wait till you get to the last clip, bro.
Shit.
Because that one's gonna blow your mind.
All right.
Because it blew my mind. I was like, what the fuck?
Damn.
Yeah, but let's play that clip, yeah?
Go on.
A man named Dag Hammarskjöld. Dag Hammarskjöld.
Nothing coming into my mind.
Maxwell and Potgieter met several times. Maxwell fed Potgieter lots of documents from the files of Cypher, amongst them the first part of a fictionalized account of Maxwell's life entitled The Story of My Life.
There you go.
It's the story of Maxwell's life, but fictionalized. It tells how, as a young man, Maxwell is recruited into Cypher in the memoir simply called The Marine Institute. At a farm outside of Johannesburg, Maxwell is being trained with other Cypher cadets, all dressed in whites. They are given lessons in psychological warfare and the dark arts in general. Maxwell's handler in Cypher is a strict and stern officer named Robert Wagman. At the end of Maxwell's training, Commander Wagman sends him to the Congo on a clandestine mission for the Marine Institute. In the Congo, Maxwell ends up at a secret jungle laboratory funded and operated by the US Army. Here, research is being done into biological warfare and how to weaponize viruses. Finally, Keith Maxwell, who calls himself Ken Marshall in his memoir, has a fallout with the commander of the jungle laboratory who expels Maxwell from the premises. Maxwell then travels to the capital of the Congo, stays at Hotel Memling for a while, and then goes back to South Africa. Here, the memoir breaks off, unfinished. Not a word is written about Dag Hammarskjöld and how he died in September 1961.
Okay, so that's just kind of trying to give you a bit of insight who Keith Maxwell was. But notice how he gave the journalist a fictional account of his life story, I suppose. But pretty shady, pretty much shadowy figure.
Yeah.
Obviously been well trained in that sort of thing, counterintelligence or whatever it is, you must have been. Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
To be able to hide yourself so well in plain sight as well in that way. But he's definitely now becoming, at this point in the documentary, he becomes a person of interest, which starts leading us down to the next clip, right? And the next clip is obviously about Keith Maxwell and his potential accomplices.
And this is 1950.
It's around 60s.
60s? I think he said 1951,
I think he said 1954 was when Hammarskjöld became the UN Secretary General, and 61 was when his plane went down.
61. Shit, man. It's only like 10, 15 years after World War II.
Not long.
Not long.
So this is where a lot of countries were now getting their independence.
MK Ultra is like at the end of the 60s as well. Yeah. So a lot of medical experimentation, shady. And,
there was a lot of things going on. There weren't there?
A lot of things going on.
There was Operation Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Bluebird, which the CIA have openly admitted to everything. MK Mind Control, they've openly admitted to. They claim they don't do it anymore, any of these operations.
Well, this is the thing.
But how do you know?
How do you know? They're definitely doing it now.
I mean, think about it, right? Okay, I think, what was it? Mockingbird was about having CIA agents as anchor people at newsrooms, right? I think that was the Mockingbird one. And if that's the case, Tucker Carlson, man.
And
Nick Fuentes is now starting calling him out regarding his dad was a CIA agent.
Yeah.
You're a CIA agent as well.
Alex Jones potentially as well.
Alex Jones as well, whose whole family was CIA agents. But what they've done now is like Alex Jones was very much the alternative news, wasn't he? But he was maybe he was but very, very smart enough to think, well, if I do mainstream, people are just going to think I'm a shill on it. I'm a plant, right? But if I do it my own way with funding from you guys, whoever you guys are, I could push a narrative on the controlled opposition side and get the other side weaned into. Do you get it? And then you think about Tucker Carlson, who started off as mainstream and then got fired or kicked off or whatever it was. Oh, look what they did to Tucker. And now Tucker's now being this advocate of free speech. Yeah. And it works as well, right? Because then people said, well, mainstream got rid of it.
Fake news.
And we know mainstream's fake news, and Tucker was against it and calling it out.
So he must be
legit.
And and the thing is with these guys, I'll put in some half-truths in there as well. So it's kind of, oh man. But yeah, if they're doing that now, potentially, they definitely were doing it back then. And they've admitted it. So shady shit, man.
I just think it's something that's always been going on. I don't think it's something that's ever
stopped.
I don't think it's ever anything that's ever stopped.
No.
But yeah, this starts to unravel itself. This documentary, and this is when it started really getting interesting. Because the way I came across this documentary was I saw a clip of the very last clip I'm going to show us at the end. I was like, "What is this?" And then I looked in the comment section. I was like, because someone was going to put down what documentary, and someone did. And then I went and hunted it down, obviously. And then when I watched it all, I thought, okay, this is interesting. And I thought it was just like a thing about assassinating a guy who wanted to give Africa their power back and all that sort of stuff. It was going to go. Then it started going into a completely different direction. I thought, whoa, what's this? And we started going down the research, medical research, the experiments, the clinics. And then they started talking about HIV. But yeah, look, so far we're just opening things up at the moment. Yeah, be patient with us, because we're going to get to the juicy stuff in a bit as well now, So we're going to play the next clip, right? And this is really about Keith Maxwell and his potential accomplices. Yeah?
All right.
The reason for making it complicated is, of course, the 9 secret documents released by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission back in 1998, outlining a conspiracy to kill Dag Hammarskjöld.
The code name for the operation to kill Dag Hammarskjöld was Operation Celeste.
Today, 20 years later, the Operation Celeste papers from Cypher remain a complete mystery. No one knows who wrote them, nor why or when. If the documents are to be trusted as genuine, it is first and foremost necessary to prove that Cypher did exist as a real organization. The best way to do this would be to find other members of Cypher besides Keith Maxwell, because in theory, all of this could be an elaborate hoax embedded in reality by Keith Maxwell. The Operation Celeste papers mention a secret agent codenamed Congo Red, who works for Cypher in the Congo. They also tell how the explosives for the bomb to kill Dag Hammarskjöld were provided by the Belgian mining corporation Union Minière. The bomb fails to explode at takeoff, but the agent Congo Red writes that a contingency plan was activated. An eagle is being dispatched, most likely a reference to a jet fighter, and just as Dag Hammarskjöld's plane is about to land at Ndola airport, the plane crashes and he dies. And in the end, Congo Red confirms the job has been done. Besides Congo Red, we have an agent for the CIA codenamed Dwight. He is to meet his liaison from Cypher at the old Leopold II Hotel in the capital of Katanga, today the Park Hotel. There's no trace left of Dwight having stayed at the hotel in 1961. The only real names given in the Operation Celeste papers are names of senior Cypher officers. We have a Commodore R. Wagner, probably the same person as Commander Robert Wagman, the officer who was in charge of the Marine Institute in Maxwell's memoir. This man seems to be impossible to track down, and so are Dr. Pike and Captain Iron Kerr. So, the only confirmed member of Cypher so far is Keith Maxwell. But there could be other members of Cypher. I did manage to find this article, which was published in the Sunday Times magazine in South Africa in 1989. Here, a young woman named Debbie Campbell talks about how she works for Cypher and Dr. Keith Maxwell. Debbie talks about how she was recruited into Cypher out of school when she was only 13, and how she now does research at Maxwell's AIDS clinic. But Debbie Campbell seems to have vanished from the face of the earth. My quest to track her down has been in vain, and the journalist who wrote the article claims she has forgotten all about it. Luckily, there are other names to work on. In the trove of Cypher documents, which Keith Maxwell handed over to journalist David Potgieter, several people are mentioned, including a South African doctor named Claude Newbury. Good afternoon. Hello, Mr. Newbury.
Yes, hello.
I'm Mats Brugger. I'm a journalist from Denmark.
How do you do?
Fine, thank you. And this is Jørgen Bjørkdal, whom you spoke with on the phone.
Yes, we spoke on the phone. Yeah.
I'm interested how you guys get my mobile number.
Dr. Newbury, who is known in South Africa as a pro-life anti-abortion campaigner, confirms having befriended Keith Maxwell.
He was a very pleasant person and very humorous. He was the sort of person who made lots and lots of jokes. You know, he could make a joke easily. One evening, we were invited to dinner, and he said, "Well, would you like to become a member of Cypher?" So I said, "Well, what does it entail?" And it seemed to entail only the investigation, the research into sunken treasure.
And please go on. Well, what happens that evening?
There was a little bit of a ceremony. He had been dressed up like an admiral in the British Navy from about 250 years ago, you know, with a tricorn hat and a cutlass and a naval uniform with lots of buttons, and that was it.
Who was wearing that?
That was Mr. Maxwell.
He was dressed like that?
Yes, yes. And then at a later stage, he asked me about what I thought about the AIDS virus.
And what did he tell you?
Well, he indicated that he thought it was a product of biological warfare.
In fact, Keith Maxwell was obsessed with AIDS, writing extensively about how Cypher was doing research into the HIV virus and the possibility of using the virus as a weapon to kill black people.
Sorry, Max. Would you tell me, was he affected with AIDS?
Who? Maxwell?
Yeah.
No. No, but he was interested in using AIDS to kill black people. In his master plan, Keith Maxwell writes about how AIDS will play an important role in South Africa's political future. As refugees from the disease pour into South Africa from the north, they will bring the virus with them, and the black population with whom they mingle will become infected on a large scale. As a result, Maxwell concludes, South Africa will have a white majority in the year 2000.
That's not the person that I know. Maxwell was trying to discover a cure for the HIV virus. He wanted me at one time to join or to start a clinic in a building out in Benoni where he had visualized a medical clinic. Now, he wasn't a medical doctor and I am a medical doctor. And when I said to him, no, I wasn't prepared to do that, he seemed to be very upset with me, and that was the end of our relationship.
Another person mentioned in the Cypher documents is a man named René Gord. According to the documents, he was second in command in the South African Institute for Maritime Research, working directly under Commodore Keith Maxwell in the early 90s.
Joran and I went to visit him.
Yes. And you know what happens? He comes out of the building. We ask him if he is René Gord, who was in charge of Cypher, second in command after Maxwell. He says absolutely not. He has never been involved with Cypher. Then we show him some Cypher documents with the signature of René Gord.
Is this, I mean, here we have a document. Yeah. Signed by René Gord. Is not, that is my signature. It is yours? Yeah. Okay. So how can we explain that? I don't know.
How is that possible?
Well, work it out.
And we ask, how come? And then he says he is the victim of identity theft. But have they used that identity theft, for taking out bank loans, buying cars?
Nothing.
Oh, only for this?
Yeah, it appears to be.
But that is bizarre.
Yeah, it is bizarre.
Yeah.
That handwriting under the signature, is that yours? This handwriting here.
That is my handwriting.
It is your handwriting?
Yeah, it is my handwriting.
So it's also you writing, Lieutenant Commander?
No, not me, but it is my handwriting. That is my handwriting, but I don't know this document.
Why on earth would Keith Maxwell and his cohorts go to these lengths with stealing your identity?
I don't know, because I don't know the background of this organization. I don't know what they were up to. Really, I have no idea.
The Cypher papers also mention a South African general named Tini Groenewald.
Tini Groenewald, former general and chief director of military intelligence, former attaché at the South African Embassy in London.
And coming back, at a particular time he came back and he sort of became chief of military intelligence. So since then he's been involved in intelligence work, military intelligence, all his life.
Jørgen and I, we go to visit Groenewald. And Groenewald tells us that he met 2 times with Maxwell.
He was neatly dressed, he was well spoken. He appeared to be someone who was in authority.
He even has Maxwell's name written in his calendar. Maxwell comes to meet Groenewald and tells him if he is interested in...
Before apartheid?
No, just before apartheid ends.
Yes.
In the last days of apartheid.
Yes.
Maxwell comes to meet Groenewald and tells him if he wants weapon and money for arming white people to go up against black people.
Black people.
Like a civil war.
Okay.
Maxwell can help him.
He had the resources to use violence and to supply weapons and so on and so forth. But I was convinced that he was financed and directed by MI6 of British intelligence. How? After spending 3.5 years in Britain, you get to know some people involved in the intelligence field. And certain of the names which I mentioned in our discussions was familiar to him, which told me, well, obviously he knows these people.
So Groenewald was convinced that Maxwell was working for MI6, British intelligence. And because of that, he told him no. And they never meet again.
That is very interesting. What is also interesting is that I asked Grunewald if he has ever heard about CIMAR, South African Maritime Research Institute, and Grunewald says never.
No, I can't see this organization as really playing a significant part. If they did, I would have known about it.
Do you have the Operation Celeste papers, right, Johan?
Some of them, yes, they're here.
Could you show them to the general, just to get his,
Yes, of course. I mean, I don't know if you've seen these particular papers, but this is, I think, 4 documents. Here's one giving some orders.
You see, now my question always is this authentic, or is this, did they try and create an impression that the CIA, for example, was involved? Because it's very easy to do this. Let me say that you would be very, very careful if the CIA was involved of putting something like this on paper. If you do it, then it's highly, it's not professional. Not professional at all.
So,
bro,
that just became a bit more.
Are you sure we should be talking about it? Dude, they got identity theft and everything in it, man.
I told you it's a wild one, right? Because
we talk about a lot of crazy shit, but this is fucked.
He's like talking about identity theft, that first individual. So there was a couple of doctors he said he was trying to get hold of, couldn't get hold of them, can't find them no matter what he tried. Came across the third one who signed paperwork on behalf of CIMAR, which was run by Keith Maxwell. But then the signature I could buy to a degree, someone forged your signature, okay, fair enough. But then when he himself says, that's my handwriting, that's when I was like,
But they wrote Lieutenant Commander as well, man.
I mean, don't go, if you have a real good forger, you could do that as well. You could do that as well. I can't say
but they're
no.
talking about the Lieutenant Commander in it, man. That's like, they're forging high-level people.
That's, and now it's got your, and you're saying it is my handwriting. Now it's like you're claiming identity fraud, or theft. But he could have easily looked at that, and if he's smart enough, he'll be like, yeah, that is my handwriting. Oh no, they've stolen my identity. Clearly, it's fraud.
Or maybe he did do it.
Or maybe he did do it. No, but that's what I'm saying. Maybe he did do it. That's what I'm saying. And then his reaction called it as fraud. So or
he could have been on some MK Ultra mind control, and they might have had him under some anesthesia and made him write it, or like hypnosis or some shit. Who knows? They do that too.
Well, they've got MK Mind Control's got the power to, from what I understand, also wipe your memory as well.
Wipe your memory after, yeah. They've got loads of different hypnosis kind of technologies or tricks.
It's great, isn't it? No, they can do it. Yeah, exactly. They can do it. You look at some assassins throughout history, and they're like, some people don't know what they did and why they did it, but they did it.
Sleeper agents and all that stuff.
Exactly, innit? You're waking them up, they're gonna done something, and then later on, like, oh no,
idea, but that is me.
But yeah, that was me. I don't understand what happened.
Yeah.
So
that's weird, man.
Do you know what I mean?
This is in the 50s, 60s.
So, and we know a lot of things went on. We already discussed some of it.
Yeah.
Some of the operations that were going on. There's a whole list of them. Like, I still need to research, and we're probably gonna have to get into them at some point.
Yeah.
These conspiracy theories. But it's interesting when they met the last guy there as well. And he's saying, yeah, I didn't know him, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure he was working for MI6, and MI6 were willing to give us weapons at the end of apartheid to fight the blacks and create a civil war situation rather than giving it over to the blacks, giving South Africa over to the blacks. And it just seems like there's a lot of dodge in there, man. There's a lot of, I suppose, conspiracy, man. There's I don't know what you think, but it just feels like,
yeah, it's suspicious as fuck. There's definitely a conspiracy.
There's something there.
Yeah, it's definitely a conspiracy.
And it's just a little bit eerie, right? Now, this next clip I'm going to play is called The List, yeah? And for love of money, I can't remember what the list was about. I think it's either about each of the accomplices or about a set of documents. But remember, when I put this together, it was months ago, yeah, and we've been tied up with Trump debates and immigration and all this
Yeah, that's the distraction, isn't it?
which I'm getting bored of now. And we're going to get back on track with some of the real stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the things you need to look at from past history and how...
I understand how it's all playing out now.
How it's all playing out now.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, I'm going to play this next clip. It's about 3 minutes long, not too long. We've got a couple of 3-minute clips. We've got 4 clips left. There's about... Just to let you guys know if you're watching, most of them are about 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. There is one that's 20 minutes long, but that is the one.
Holy,
you can't miss that one.
All right.
You're gonna watch that.
We're in and out.
You're gonna watch that, and you're gonna say, "Nah, we shouldn't put this up, bro.
All right.
Yeah, we shouldn't upload this anywhere."
All right, cool.
Yeah, that's what I think is gonna happen.
All right, let's do it.
So let's play the next clip, which I've entitled "The List." Yeah.
You have a list in front of you.
Yes.
What kind of list is that?
That is a list of people who responded to an advert that Keith Maxwell put out in 1989 when he was looking for mercenaries who then could be willing to sign up for a military operation in Africa.
For Cypher?
For Cypher, yes.
We have this long list of names, and we're basically going through all the names, trying to find their phone numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I am calling because of a list of men who responded to adverts from a group known as Cypher.
Yes.
I believe you are one of them.
Yes.
What can you tell me about this group?
Well, I cannot talk about it yet. It's a bit dangerous, so we are not too keen on talking about things.
My own involvement in the forces that be at the time and the implications thereof and what we had to do and get up to. Well, I don't know if I'm willing to divulge anything on that.
Okay, but can you at least confirm that Cypher was real, that it did exist at one point in time?
I can't, I'm not at the liberty of speaking about it, sir.
What I did. What I did, as far as I'm concerned, I was doing the correct thing. And yeah, we'll leave it at that. All right, you must find other people that are maybe willing to discuss it, because I'm definitely not.
So where'd you get my number from? It's not open to the public.
Yeah, since most of these people have shown to be unwilling to speak on the phone, we will just go to their houses and try to approach them. Some may just tell us to fuck off, and others may be willing to talk.
So that just gives a little bit more weight to what he's investigating, in the sense that a list of people who applied for a position with Cypher to work for him for an operation in Africa, or military operation in Africa. And we just witnessed him call up those list of names. And one of them, like you said while we were watching it, got asked the question, well, can you just confirm Cypher existed? And he was like, I can't do anything like that, and put down the phone, right? You would just say no, like you said, right?
Yeah.
You're like, why would you even
No, or I don't know, but to say I can't confirm or deny, that means it's real, right?
Yeah. Because he's worried that if I say no, then I'll be litigated in court maybe later on down the line for saying no, it didn't exist. But if I say yes, someone's going to come after me.
Yeah.
So he just said, I can't talk about it.
Can't talk about it. That means it exists.
That means it exists, isn't it? Right?
Gotcha.
All right. So we're going to now move on to the next clip. Again, it's only like 3 minutes long, but this one's called The Certificate. And apparently, I think if you applied for the job and you got the role and you got trained up by them, you got a certificate or something to say that you're part of Cypher or whatever, or you passed off Cypher training or whatever it is. So they do actually go to, where you hear him say at the end, like, we're going to have to go to their houses and try and see if we can get them to talk. They do that with one person, and he was quite open about it. So let's watch that clip, yeah?
Yep. Jørgen and I, we find the street address of corresponding to one of the names, a man named Clive.
You're speaking about the maritime research. You're speaking about that?
Yes.
Oh, no, I've done training with him for about 3 months.
3 months.
And then afterwards, everything just went basically quiet.
Okay.
I can try and look. I know I've got a certificate that I was issued with from the maritime.
You do?
You have that? I have got a certificate. So.
Could you find that for us? That would be a great help.
Yes, I can find it here. Here we go. This was 1993.
Incredible.
1993.
It is the real deal. He went to a secret Cypher training camp outside Johannesburg, where they were wearing white clothes. But yeah, I know, Clive, it's a long time ago, but can you recollect names of anybody in charge of Cypher when you were there?
There was one guy from the NCIS, whatever, the intelligence bureau, I remember, and there was an American guy.
An American guy?
Curly hair, black hair with a moustache.
The American guy is Robert Cedars. His resume reads like a real-life Rambo. Ex-Green Beret, ex-mercenary, he has worked for the Anglo-American Mining Corporation and the King of Afghanistan. And among his listed interests are parapsychology and rock and roll.
Do you remember a man named Keith Maxwell?
I met him a few times. He was supposed to organize us as security guards, but I don't know. They supposed to hire me to train people, but shit, they never did nothing. I don't think they went anywhere or did anything, so I don't know what the hell they did. Couldn't be bothered with this. Yeah, anyway, good luck on whatever you're looking for. Find out who killed President Kennedy. Do something important.
Okay, so in 93 we have you on a farm here in Johannesburg.
Yes.
Training together with Bob Cedars and Maxwell. Dressing in white.
White, yeah. The naval shirt, white pants. There wasn't any firearms given to us or anything. It was more lectures and that kind of stuff. But it was based on normal military co-ops.
Perfect. Fascinating.
Okay, so that just got a little bit more interesting. And like you said, and fascinating as well, that they managed to get hold of one of the names on the list, had an address for him, went to his doorstep, and literally he was, yeah, cool, man, let's talk about it.
I'm surprised that he was so
open about it. Whether he was, with the training, he had that understanding, whether he just went for the training. Like you said, it was normal co-op.
Yeah,
training.
It was marketed as that elite. Yeah, it was marketed normal.
That's the bit I'd completed, but I hadn't actually gone into the field or whatever. So he wouldn't have known probably just that what was the plan and what he was going to be involved with. So maybe that's why he was very open about it.
Yeah, I did the training.
Whereas the other ones probably went a little bit deeper into it.
Don't talk to me.
No, don't talk to me. I want to talk to you. Whereas he's like, yeah, sure, I'll show you.
Yeah, I'll show you. I did the training. Yeah, I got a certificate. Yeah, what's it about?
Complete the training. But then there was one guy there as well saying that do something important, find out who killed JFK. But it's like, whoever that was on the phone he spoke to. And I was like, so who are you then, mate? Like, because then there's an element of, you're trying to say, like, why are you chasing this down for? Kind of thing. So it just gets more weight. There's more of a conspiracy unfolding here now. Like, you've got conspirators instead of just one person, one name, like they were at the beginning with Keith Maxwell. Now it's starting to open up to multiple names and multiple people who are involved in it. I
think it's also interesting how many decades have gone by already. I mean, that certificate was in 1993 when they were doing the training, but
that would have been when apartheid ended.
Yeah, but the UN, when we started this episode, in terms of in the 50s, with the chief general for the UN being assassinated on the plane, like it's a long progress for things to start rolling and taking off. And it's crazy because if that was 40 years from 50 to 90, and then what's 40 years from 90 to 2030? It's a long game they play.
It's crazy, isn't it? But just shows you it's not, conspiracies aren't over, these sort of conspiracies aren't done like in 5 minutes and then next year, bam, it's done over a period of time. They have to do a lot of, I suppose, psyoping as well.
Yeah.
They've
a lot of programming that they need to instill in people.
Also,
first.
a lot of distraction as well. Make sure the general public are focused elsewhere. We're seeing a lot of that right now.
Yep.
So their focus isn't on what these sort of people behind the curtains are doing, innit?
Scary stuff, actually.
It's quite spooky. All right, listen, next clip's the one though, man.
Oh, fuck.
20 minutes long, yeah?
Go on.
And I've entitled it The Confessions of Alexander Jones, yeah?
A new guy, a new character.
You got to find out who this guy is, yeah? Because this guy I was shocked how willingly open he was. If you thought the last guy we just saw was quite open, this guy, considering he was in deep with it all, I was shocked by it, yeah? But this one's going to blow your mind, yeah? Ready?
Yes, sir.
Is the guy we have been looking for 6 years. So, simply put, what is Cypher?
Cypher was a clandestine, mercenary organization for hire.
Financed by whom?
Financed by foreign governments.
And what was the purpose of Cypher?
Cypher was there to go and destabilize certain countries, and basically we were soldiers.
And what was your role specifically? Were you in the front line, so to speak?
Yes, I was definitely in the front line. Operational front line, hand-to-hand front line, fighting front line, leading operations, if you want to call it that.
Did you kill people yourself?
Yes.
Is it dangerous for you talking to us about this?
Definitely. Very. I mean, I could get backlash from my own people. You sitting with a list of names, and all of those names on that list can be verified.
But why are you taking that risk, may I ask?
I think it's about time that we need closure. I need personal closure. Basically, this is operational headquarters for Cypher. We should still be able to see reminiscence of military personnel being here. For example, we can go. There's the barracks down that side.
How many people did it involve, Cypher?
Anything from 5,000 people upwards.
That many?
That many. So Cypher was a big organization. In front of us now would have been your main hall, which would have been your mess hall and your gathering place. Look, Cypher was very clever in the way that they operated. You and I could be sitting in the same room, and you could belong to the medical division of Cypher, and I wouldn't know you from a bar of soap. There would be dinners, formal dinners, it depends on celebrating different occasions in the history of Cypher, that type of stuff. Maxwell would come there in his old 18th century Commodore's uniform.
Will he?
Yeah.
Like a Lord Nelson?
That's right, yeah. With a hat, everything. With a sword. Look, they were very sucker to the 1800s British naval traditions and attire, especially the hierarchy. We wore normal whites.
This is a picture of
Maxwell.
Yes. He was looking like that?
Yes. That's exactly what Commodore Maxwell looked like.
Did he wear white all the time?
All the time. I never ever saw him wear anything but white.
Always white?
Always white.
This is Maxwell, yeah. Very intelligent person. Very manipulative. He commanded respect. If you met him, you just couldn't help showing respect to the gentleman.
He was charismatic?
Very. But also very dangerous.
Dangerous in what way?
If he didn't like you and if you posed a threat to him, he would take you out.
He would simply kill you?
Yeah.
Himself or
himself? Yeah.
And what kind of operations were you doing?
Well, it was clandestine operations. We were involved in coups, taking over countries for other leaders. We were involved in Mozambique, spreading the AIDS virus through medical conditions. We were involved in Angola with Dr. Jonas Savimbi for various operations. We gave military support.
So people were killed during these operations?
Oh, definitely.
We mentioned
Jørgen, can we? I just do the question again, and then you can pop in.
Yeah.
You mentioned actively spreading AIDS.
There was a unit in from Cypher that one of the things was that we went into African countries.
And how was that done exactly?
Through inoculation.
Through vaccines?
Yeah, through vaccines. Pretending to inoculate people and that type of thing.
The idea being to kill black people?
Yeah, to eradicate black people. You must understand the concept was that AIDS was a killer. It was incurable at that point in time, so it was led to believe that if you infected people, it was the quick, non-militaristic approach to eliminate black people.
And that is something you know for a fact, that AIDS was actively being spread to other countries?
Yes, to African countries.
Before we continue with Alexander Jones, I should tell you about the case of Dagmar Feil.
Beautiful. I come from home, eh, Dagmar? Smile for the camera.
I happened to discover a advert placed in a South African newspaper from Cypher where they are looking for the killers of Dagmar Feil. And we managed to find the brother of Dagmar Feil, Carl Feil.
My sister came to me and she said to me she needed to confide in me. She needed to sit with me. And sorry, I just know it. Of course, I have a lot of guilt about it because she actually sat with me and said to me she thinks that they're going to kill her.
She told you that?
Yeah, and I said to her, who? And she said she doesn't know, but she thinks they're after her. And she said they'd already killed 3 or 4 people in the same team that she was part of. And I said, what team? And she said she couldn't tell me. The other thing that she said is she needs to come to church with me. She needs to make right with God. She fully expects to be dead within the next couple of weeks.
His sister Dagmar was recruited into Cypher. She had a background as a marine biologist.
So I believe you got your matric results. I mean, university.
University results, yeah.
How did it go?
Oh, it was very good.
What do you mean by good?
Well, I passed.
How well did you pass?
She did mention, in no particular detail, that what she'd studied was particularly helpful in the work that she was doing then. In other words, the research element of what she did in marine biology she was using on a daily basis in this particular role. But what I found very peculiar is that she had a regular office job in working as a secretary and an admin assistant in Johannesburg, but yet she was doing all this research behind the scenes. But she never ever told me what it was.
Was it like working in a laboratory?
Yes.
In a laboratory?
Yes.
Clinical research?
Yes.
But where?
She never told me. The topic of AIDS research came up several times, quite loosely in conversation. I never put two and two together.
And she became a white supremacist. And she traveled to Mozambique and other African countries bordering with South Africa to bring vaccines to people there. Countries such as Mozambique, Angola.
Yes, Swaziland, Botswana came up several times.
But she discovers that these vaccines from Cypher are contaminated. And she wants to tell the police, the authorities about what is going on. But before she managed to do so, she is murdered.
And I dashed across Johannesburg and got to her apartment, and I found her white VW Beetle parked in front of the security gates of her flat. I found her lying in the street.
Sorry. Sure, such a long time ago, and it's still a bit of a shock.
It's November 1990?
Yeah.
Did the police investigate this murder?
No. They had absolutely no interest in pursuing the case at all.
Why?
I can't tell you.
Then we go to see Alexander Jones.
We were at war. Black people in South Africa were the enemy.
But so it was about white supremacy?
Definitely. Definitely trying to retain the white supremacy on the African continent.
And furthermore, he tells us that the purpose of Maxwell's clinics in and around Johannesburg was to infect black people with HIV.
He had the one in Tokoze, he had the one in Alex.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, there was on the West Strand. So, and these were research facilities for them to inject people with a solution to see that they prevented AIDS in it. In the meantime, they were injecting people with AIDS.
And he was only working on black people in these clinics?
Yes, yeah.
For almost nothing?
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So you know what I mean? What easier way to get a big guinea pig? That you live in the apartheid system. Black people have got no rights. They need medical treatment. There's a white philanthropist coming in and say, you know what, I'll open up these clinics and I will treat you. I will do this. And meantime, you actually the wolf in sheep's clothing.
That's gruesome.
Did you visit these clinics yourself?
Yes, I went to the clinic in Alex where there was the research facility thing, and there was monitors, there was tubes, there was a proper lab. If you want to say it's scientist lab, you know, proper freaky scientist lab, definitely.
Were there clinics also in other countries?
Well, look, I know personally that I know of, our base of operations for this project was in Mozambique. That I can tell you.
Where Dagmar Fail was working?
Yes.
He knew about Dagmar Fail and what she did.
She was recruited to do medical research in Maxwell's labs in Alexander. And then obviously she progressed and she became part of the inner circle for the operations, and she went to Mozambique to fulfill her obligations. And when it came, word got out that she was going to testify.
He was going to inform the authorities about Cypher.
Correct, yes.
And the spread of AIDS.
That's right. And I think it's well known in our circles that it was Cypher themselves that took her out.
But why would Cypher place that advert?
Why wouldn't they?
It's like a decoy.
Exactly.
Another possible spin is there was an interview published in South Africa with Maxwell and an ensign, a woman named Debbie.
She's the young lady.
Yes.
Yes.
And
where she was at school and he recruited her from school.
Yes. We have tried to track her down, but we can't find her.
I don't think she's around anymore.
You don't think she's alive anymore?
Yeah.
Could that be Dagmar File?
No, it's not Dagmar.
It's not. It's two different ones.
Her name is Debbie Campbell.
And Debbie's,
article, yes.
Debbie's not, but Debbie's blonde.
Would the South African government, the apartheid regime, would they have known that Cypher was spreading AIDS inside South Africa and outside as well to kill off black people?
Highly likely. Highly likely. That's why I'm telling you that's why people were killed for it.
That's why Dagmar Phil was killed, maybe.
Yeah. That's why Dagmar was killed.
And after the death of Dagmar, Dagmar's mother continues to investigate the case. She wants to find out who killed her daughter. She tried to give witness about the event to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Okay.
They told her no, because it was too controversial.
Yeah.
The murders were never found. The case was not investigated.
And they would not listen to her. In fact, I think the second or third time that she went to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, they escorted her out. Just the mention of the South African Maritime Institute made people nervous. They would not listen at all.
Then she befriends a Cypher officer, I believe maybe it's Maxwell, who feeds her information about Cypher and her daughter.
Yes.
He approached my mom. I don't know whether it was out of guilt or whether just a prick of his conscience. He contacted my mother and gave her a whole lot of documents. I believe they met several times. And in there are letterheads of the South African Maritime Institute. So this was the first time that I had ever heard of that institute.
Not long after, we go to an address in Johannesburg where the personal belongings of Dagmar's mother are stored. She's dead now, Dagmar's mother. And in her belongings, we find an address book. What, Johan?
I found an interesting name here.
What?
Maxwell. K. Maxwell.
You have Maxwell?
Yeah.
What? Would they meet on a regular basis, or?
Most of it was telephonic, and then at one stage, she was informed that he's going to Namibia. He's fleeing the country. He doesn't feel safe here, and he handed all of this documentation to her, and she never heard from him again.
Maxwell was fleeing to Namibia?
The country of Namibia came up frequently, yes.
René Gore.
No.
Here we have it. René Gore, Namibia.
That's René Gore. He was in Cypher. He was destined to take over from Commodore Maxwell. Yes.
And in that book, Dagmar's mother has made a number of notes. It says police, and then something has been crossed out. Then there's part of a name ending E-N-I-E, and then F-R-O-E-R. No, this is Grunewald.
Yes?
It says Tini Grunewald.
Wow.
It says Tini Grunewald ordered Dagmar's murder plus 4 others.
This is incredible.
would make sense. I mean, Tini Groenewald, he was a key person, top figure in the military intelligence.
No, I can't see this organization as really playing a significant part. If they did, I would have known about it.
He's lying. The whole of South Africa knew about Simon. Everybody in the military field knew about Simon. The government knew about Simon. That's why we were allowed to operate out of South African premises.
Were they taking orders from South African military, or?
No, I think our main orders came from the British government. That's my opinion.
The British government?
Yeah. Well, from our British handlers, controllers, whatever. To this day, I still believe that we were a subunit of some British entity.
Woo!
Damn.
That was a good one, huh?
Damn.
What do you think, man? What's going through your mind? I mean, that's crazy. First of all, he openly admitted there was an operation in place to inoculate black people in South Africa, right? Under the guise of, we're vaccinating you for this and that,
medication,
etc.
yeah.
Medication, we're going to help you, we're here to help you. But actually, they were infecting them with HIV.
Makes sense. It's a perfect Trojan horse into... But that's fucked.
And he openly stated there that the goal was basically to kill off the black population and allow white supremacy to reign again across Africa. Not even just South Africa, not just South Africa, the whole of Africa.
Then he ends it with British entity probably running it.
Yeah, well, he said that whoever was giving we had British intelligence instructing us, funding us, I'm guessing as well. And it was no secret anywhere within the South African military that this was going on. But not only that, certain individuals were killed off, and people that they interviewed before, which we showed clips of, are now, they found the name of that guy who said I would have known about it. But he did know about it clearly because
your name's there.
The name's there in the journal, in the documentation from Keith Maxwell, who passed it on to that young girl's mum before she died. Crazy, man.
Damn. What are we doing, Si? Oh, man. Yeah.
You know, whenever we do shit like this, Treble gets nervous hard. Because he's wearing that guys with black helmets, masks, and guns and all sorts, going to kick down their door and say, get on the floor!
Why can't we talk about
like 5 o'clock in the
funny,
morning.
Man. We need to go back onto the funny stuff. This is deep, bruv. Imagine that, going for a vaccine thinking you're going to get help because we're in the middle of apartheid, only to just wipe out your whole race. That's dark.
It's insane, man. Like, it blew my mind. Like this is what I said. This documentary blew my. And remember, I've taken clips from it. Yeah, this is not the whole documentary. Yeah, there's more to this. Believe it or not, there's more juicy stuff to this. But I wasn't about to take it all. Yeah, like I didn't want any problems with copywriting or anything like that. So I thought, let me take the best ones to kind of explain the story. But I highly recommend anyone go on Rumble. It's up on Rumble for free. I don't know if it's still up there, but someone did put it up, which I'm glad about because I didn't have to pay Amazon for it. But you can actually purchase this or rent it on Amazon because he is an official journalist. So, and this is a guy who's been nominated or has picked up awards. I feel like he's pretty genuine. But it's a shocking insight, but also I feel like it gives a bit of weight to what I've been feeling since I was like 15, 16 years old.
Biological weapon.
There was a biological weapon used against black people.
Makes sense.
And tested on the gay community in New York.
So, the documentary didn't, or the stuff that we've clipped hasn't really explained exactly what this virus is. So obviously we know that this is a biological weapon that's
it doesn't. I don't think
what is it?
I don't think he really gets into the
science.
He doesn't get really into the science of it all.
Like, is it spreadable, or is it literally you have to be inoculated for it to, or can you actually spread it through?
No, but remember you can spread it through fluid transfers, can't you? HIV.
Okay. So that's still,
once you've been inoculated with it, or under the guise of inoculation, they've given it to you, and then you start having sex or blood to blood contact or whatever it is, you could pass it on. through those methods. So it'll become part of your system, your DNA, or whatever, how it works.
But then that can almost become uncontrollable though, because surely it just takes one person to interact with another person, and that can just spread like wildfire.
Yeah. And then think about how many free inoculations do they give all year round? Even now, look at Bill Gates. Bill Gates is always giving free inoculations.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The parallels of this white philanthropist trying to help people. I mean, Bill Gates is vaccinating the whole of Africa, isn't he?
Exactly. And there's some countries that have actually, I think, was it Nigeria that kicked him out and then tried to sue him? India kicked him out. India kicked him out as well.
Well, a lot of kids were coming out with defects and shit.
Yeah.
It's really fucked up.
So it's one of those ones, and that's why I wanted to do this one, because Treble's face has got a look all worried, like, should we put this out there?
Yeah,
Treble's like, nah, Cypher, we shouldn't do this one. He's like, oh no, change my mind on this one, change my mind.
I don't know, innit? That was deep, and it all starts with taking out the UN general.
And that's where but this is where the investigation starts.
Yeah, that's where the investigation starts.
That's what he was investigating first off. It was this man had been taken out. And I want to
it
prove
looked suspicious.
And it was a man who was going to help Africa, and they took him out on purpose. And these colonial powers have still got their grip on Africa and its resource and all that sort of thing. You could tell where he was going with it. But then Keith Maxwell comes up, and the Research Institute comes up, and he's like, what's this? And then he starts going down that rabbit hole.
And then it leads you 40 years later where they're talking about genocide.
Crazy, right? And he even said it, the last guy was Alexander Jones there. He said the goal was the eradication of black people. That's deep, man. All right, cool. All right, what I'm going to put up on the screen in a second now, is I'm going to show... Well, actually, sorry, let's play the last clip. There's one more clip. The 8th clip is I've titled Back to Dag Hammarskjöld. Yeah, so they're going to go... He's going to
full circle back to it.
It's only like a 2-minute clip.
Yeah.
He's full circle. He's going to go back to Hammarskjöld
How it all started, yeah.
All right.
Anybody that resisted any white form of manipulation on the African continent, Cypher was prepared to go and quell those for a price, at a cost. And that was one thing that Dag Hammarskjöld was totally against. And he wanted every country for the people of the country. And obviously when you've got investments, when there's minerals, gold, diamonds, oil and all of that stuff, and we all know which countries think, he was a threat.
We countered effectively efforts from all sides to make the Congo a happy hunting ground for national interests. To be a roadblock to such efforts is to make yourself the target of attacks from all those who find our plans thwarted.
He was killed because he was going to change the way that Africa dealt with the rest of the world financially. And he was a threat. And who's got the most to lose? Corporate business worldwide. People are greedy. People want what others have got, and they don't want to pay for it. That's why they come to Africa. Because Africa seemed to be easy in third world. And now Africa's starting to fight back. And I think it would have happened 30 years ago, 40 years ago, if Dag Hammarskjöld had his way. Africa would have been a completely different continent today if Dag Hammarskjöld was allowed to live and follow through on his mandate.
All right, we already touched on that bit, to be honest with you. I just kind of want to finish it off and bring it around full circle, but we know what the reason behind why they assassinated him.
Yeah, it's the game plan.
It's the game plan. Now, what you're going to see on the screen now is a map of South Africa, and obviously the darker areas of red are where predominantly the majority of the HIV viruses occur or are reported in South Africa over the years. And you can see at the bottom which one's the darkest one. It's one's around South Africa, right? And as it spreads across, there's pockets obviously up north, Northern Africa, even, to the west of Africa, I suppose, there's not a lot. But if you look down from the South Africa as a country itself, and then you go up to the southern parts and then the east a little bit, it's rife with it. So it just shows where it was stemming from. And
why was the Congo?
And where was it spreading to? Maybe they didn't infiltrate it enough, maybe.
But the whole thing was stemming from the Congo with the Union mines.
I don't think it was as bad as I think the Congo was very much about the fact that obviously they had someone in power there that was under British control rather than they were spreading HIV in there. I think the South Africans were very much put in charge of making sure that happened. But then you have to think about it as well, why did the British pick South Africa? Simple, innit? Apartheid.
Easy.
And if it ever comes out, they can spin it and say, well, it's got nothing to do with us. They're just racist down there. You know that.
Yeah.
And look how it's spreaded up north. But it's crazy, right? I mean, I really don't know what to say whenever I watch this, man, because it's like I feel like I shouldn't be shocked.
Well, that's the thing.
But I am shocked.
I'm shocked.
With our mindsets and the things that how we see the world, Treble.
I understand that was definitely a reality of it. I mean, before we even went into this, we were already questioning the legitimacy of HIV as a natural virus being spread around. We already called it as a biological weapon. I might have even doubted the legitimacy of this, butt fucking a monkey kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we already know that the government or the shadow governments are involved. So I'm not that shocked. But it is eye-opening to see how real it all played out with the names and the people and the military agencies and the soldiers and the mercenaries and the
Another period of time as well, man. Like you said, what, 40 years? 40 years?
For it to come into effect, from taking out the UN general and waiting almost 40 years before the white coats start inoculating people. And that's 40 years in the making and still having an impact today, which is another 40 years on. And you think, what kind of stuff are they doing in progress?
Because the thing I was worried about, what triggered me back when I was a kid, and I was questioning it back then when I was 15, 16 years old, was, hold on, if you're telling me that this is something that, let's say, it's always been there in Africa, but it's never been as rampant as it is now, okay, how did that come all the way across the ocean and into New York and spread like wildfire among gay men in New York? Like, it just felt like, don't get me wrong, I know there were all women and straight men that were affected by it as well, don't get me wrong. But at that time, when I was younger, it very much was among the gay population. Yeah. Even when I went back and checked it with ChatGPT, I said, look, was this? Yeah, it was very rampant with the gay population. Like, it was like, explain that connection, do you get me? And that's when my young conspiracy mind probably started developing. I didn't share it with anyone, of course, because everyone would have thought I was nuts. Yeah, like many other thoughts I had at that age. But funny, 10 years later down the line, I thought, sod this, I'm going to start thinking how I want to think, right? Yeah. I'm going to start saying what I want to say. I was already thinking the way I wanted to think, but I wasn't saying it like I am now. Now I just say it. I don't care. Fuck it. Yeah, I don't give a shit. Like, I could prove it as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to speak the truth.
But how long can you stay silent, right?
Yeah.
But that's the bit shocking to me, is that I said that when I was 15, 16 years old to myself, and now, poof, I come across a documentary 20 odd years later, which breaks down my own theory that I had in my head for all these years.
The truth always comes out, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's nuts. But I'm going to play another clip now, yeah? Mm-hmm. Will Smith.
Okay.
I'm just going to play the clip.
Go on.
And then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
All right.
You felt that the government was deliberately spraying cold germs in subways, was deliberately trying to make people ill with the AIDS virus. This is pretty serious stuff. Do you really feel that?
Well, that's a good question. Oh, I'm with Barbara Walters now. Oh, that's a serious one. Okay, so I got to, now, because people are going to chase me after this. People are going to chase me. I believe that it is quite highly possible that the AIDS virus is a result of genetic warfare testing.
By American agents?
Absolutely.
Bruv.
Nah, they're gonna get you for that.
Well, I think they already got him, man.
You can't say that shit.
Like you saw what the person put on the top was after this. He was
Yeah, he
cloned.
was cloned after that.
It's like,
yeah, you can't just say that. You can't say that, man. I mean, Will Smith is an interesting character in itself, and we've seen how his story arc has evolved over the years. Whether maybe he actually knew some stuff, and maybe he knew the truth to it, but in his secret society cults that he might be a part of, and he said it. Interviewer pressed him as like almost like a initiation ritual could be. And 30, 40 years down the line, we see how he has his role in programming. Let's not forget, Will Smith is probably a father figure to a big group of people. Like everybody looked up to the Fresh Prince.
But the thing is, it's funny I was going to say that, right? Because everyone did look up to Will Smith, because Will Smith was like I suppose that kind of guy that similar to like a Jason Statham, which is like very manly, masculine, charismatic.
I wouldn't
the ladies.
Not even Jason Statham.
No, but I'm saying like that action hero type.
Yeah,
guy,
yeah. But he's also a comedian.
But I'm saying charismatic, personality. Very someone who draws people in, isn't it? Really, that ability. Come on, man, had the ladies as well.
That's what I mean. He had that.
And in recent years, we've seen a real demise of him. Like we've been destroyed. His whole manhood's been taken away from him. His wife's cockheld him with his son's best mate or something. Slept with his best mates.
Yeah. I mean, she was whipped on Tupac his whole life.
And if you believe, there's rumors of him and this other actor for years have been involved intimately as well, male actor. I might throw out there, which he denies, but
it's all come out.
But like last few years, like the Chris Rock thing as well, and it's just for like last few years, like Will Smith has just been completely dismantled.
And that's maybe linked in with what he just said just now in terms of he was privy to some information. Maybe he shouldn't have said it, but that's what the interviewers are. These fake news mainstream media, who's also controlled by the same group of people. Well, all right. You now know some information. We're going to press you on it.
Yeah.
Cool. What do you say? And he says it. And it's
nuts.
It makes sense though that they would use it as a genetic weapon.
I just feel like I'm tragically and unfortunately feel vindicated in my thought process, because you don't want that to happen to people. Like I don't take no pleasure that African people, even the gay community in New York, who probably suffered the most, and other people as well, because there's straight people. Like I said, there's straight people, there's mums, there's dads who would have caught it for not through the sexual route. There's other routes you can catch HIV. So a lot of innocent people have suffered at the hands of it, but at the same time, it's like. At what point do you start holding people accountable, man? Like at what point do people actually stop saying, "Oh, that's just a conspiracy. That's a bit wild, isn't it? Why would they do that?" I hate that one. That's the one I hate the most. That's the one I hate the most. Why do you think they would do it?
That's real stupid. But they watch all the movies, and they can see the hero villain story play out in a movie. Oh yeah, the villain's gonna be like bad guy because he wants power and control. Oh, but that could never happen in the. Why would they do that in the real? Oh, shut your mouth.
Do you remember at the beginning when I did this, when we started this, and I did like a little trailer, right? And he was talking about, in this film you chose the resistance, and this film you chose the resistance. Yeah. But when it comes to real life, you choose your oppressors, kind of thing.
Yeah. And it's like, at the very least, they don't see that.
And it's just like,
it's just dumb behavior.
It's mad in my opinion.
Stuff in it.
But I suppose, look, I don't think there's much else we could say. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
No, I mean, just a lot of reflection on it. I mean, it's a heavy topic.
It's a mad topic.
Quite a sad one, but
all I would say is something that you always say. I'm going to repeat it, which is don't limit yourself in terms of your thought process. Yeah. To what you've been programmed. Like there's a time, like I told you, I had this thought when I was 15 and 16 years old.
Yeah.
But because I was scared to share it with everyone, because I thought people were going to think I'm nuts, I kept it to myself. Among other things that I had, other thought processes I had as well. And then 10 years later, I start opening up and stop giving a shit and start saying what I wanted to say and calling things out the way I saw it and the way it was. And now another 10 years or whatever, 15 years have passed and suddenly it's all coming true. You know, so I would say don't limit yourself. It's never too late to wake up and start paying attention. Do you know what I mean? You just got to stop fearing being ridiculed, I suppose.
It's part of the process. It
is part of the process.
It's a rite of passage. The ridicule's the truth. The one thing people never want to hear is the truth.
Yeah.
And the ridicule's part of it. But stuff like this, though, this is where conspiracy...
I think some people don't want their bubble burst, innit? That's what it is.
Ultimately.
The bubble they live in. But this was...
And the parallels, though, you know, obviously 5 years ago, 2020 was a major year where a parallel to healthcare and philanthropy to try and help people. I don't want to speak too much.
Don't say too much, but like,
I think 40 years needs to pass before we can start talking about that one.
But at the same time, what I would say is like you know, I would probably repeat is just don't be afraid to open your mind up. Yeah, like even if you don't have to go around talking to people about it either. Yeah, just for your own sake, for your own mind, just start understanding what's going on.
Be open-minded. Yeah, having a closed mind is the worst thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah, but look. I think that was a great episode, man. We covered a lot off in there. Yeah. Good. Let's hope it stays up. We've got a disclaimer in place, right?
Yeah, okay. This is all just speculation, guys. Do your own research.
Yeah, of course. Again, go and do your own research. Like our disclaimer says at the front, you know, don't just believe us. Go and watch the documentary.
Yeah.
You know, you may have different points of view that we've missed, or I've missed as someone who was clipping the bits and putting this together. Yeah. So, you know, I'm happy to hear your comments, you know, what you think, share it with us, you know, share the content with other people. As always, I'm just going to say, like, share and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Cypher.
I'm Treble.
And we out.
Monkey butt sex.